I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of power they actually have over themselves. And a lot of people go out and they think that other people have more power over them than they do of themselves. And that's a really sad thing that we live in. Like this world, the society, it's always about looking for superficial things, like superficial values of reputation, money, wealth, pleasure, fame, whatever it is, right? That we all look for these values, and we never look inwardly within ourselves and ask ourselves, what do we really want? What is it that truly makes us happy? And what is it that truly makes us want to live our lives? And I think that in trying to please all of these values and trying to please everyone else that isn't ours, isn't ourselves, we come to kind of lose this realization that we are our own individuals, right? I think this comes to play within our society, our modern day society, when in where social media has made it so that like it's so easy to find other people that are living wealthier lives and lavish lives and more privileged lives than you. A lot of people are flexing their money, and a lot of people are floundering, is that the word? Showing their money off, basically, right? And one thing's to compare yourself to another person and to try and match up to that other person. Another thing's to accept what you have and be content with what you have and be happy with it. A rich man doesn't necessarily have to be rich to be happy, right? Or a poor man doesn't necessarily have to be poor to be happy. But the thing is, they both can accept what they're in, and they both can accept the things that have been given to them, and they're content with it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out there and try and get money. I think that's an admirable thing to do, to make money for yourself. But to compare yourself to other people instead of living for yourself, instead of doing things for yourself, is another way of mistreating and abusing yourself to try and fit in with what other people see of you instead of how you see yourself. Because at the end of the day, who are you to try and please people who don't even understand who you are internally? And I think there's this prison that we make up for ourselves. There's this prison of the mind that we always have within our the what we do, and it's that the wish of everyone trying to understand us instead of us trying to understand ourselves. Because in reality, no one will ever be able to understand you more than you do. And it's a sad thing to not realize and to keep trying to find people to understand you when they're literally not capable of doing so. Sure, family members will understand you, but to an extent. Your lover, your partner, your friends, they will understand you on a substantial level, but not on a level that you do yourself. So, in trying to please even strangers, trying to please these people that don't know who you are, how do you expect them to respect you when you don't even understand yourself? How do you expect them to understand you if you don't even understand who you are? I'm sorry, that was my alarm if you heard that. But um the problem here is that we need to start. I feel like a lot of people need to start living for themselves instead of trying to live for other people. Live for yourself, basically what I'm saying. But how do you do such a thing? Right? I think it's one thing to tell someone a person it's one thing to tell someone to start living for themselves, and it's another thing to actually start telling them how to do so. And I think a lot of things in our social media kind of just tells people these quotes and these motivational passages to try and kind of like fire up their dopamine and kind of hype them up, but it doesn't really have anything of value. It doesn't really tell you what to do. But the main idea is that it's so simple, and it's this one thing. It's this one thing. It's to start doing things for yourself. It's to start doing things that you like for yourself. And I think doing things for yourself falls into two categories. It's not just about the things you like. It's about the things that'll benefit you. At the end of the day, who do you live for other than for yourself? It may sound selfish to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, you are only taking care of who matters to you the most, which is yourself. And how is that so selfish? I think in realizing and trying in realizing that taking care of yourself is selfish, then you've already given up yourself. You've already lost yourself at that point. Cause then you're unwilling to tend to yourself. It's like we train our bodies. Why shouldn't we train our minds? And why shouldn't we, if a lot of people tells us to love ourselves. A lot of people tell us to love ourselves because it's true. And a lot of people want to be loved, right? But how do you expect someone to love you if you don't know how to really love yourself, right? If you don't know how to do things for yourself. I mean, we're so easy to just love other people in the way we think we can, and to treat other people with love and affection. Why can we never give that to ourselves? I think the start of the realization of doing things for yourself is the realization that you are an individual. Just like how you try to treat other people with respect, just how you try to treat other people with love, you should try to treat yourself the same way you treat another person. Like it's so, I'm not gonna say stupid, but it's kind of like foolish to think that you can't treat yourself the same way you treat other people. It's like, and one thing's to do that, and another thing's to just completely forget and disregard yourself altogether. Because in my experience, and in a lot of times I've done I think a lot of people are considered people pleasers because they genuinely just forget about their own self. And they forget to do even the little things for themselves. And I think in trying to do things for yourself, it always starts with the little things. It doesn't have to be so grand, and it doesn't have to be so substantial that everyone sees it. You only need to see it for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for yourself. So what's the point in trying to do things for yourself so that other people see? It's performative, it's superficial, like don't do things so that other people can see it. Do things so that you see it for yourself. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things for others. I'm saying you should just provide for yourself as much as you do for others. Because if you provide things for everyone else, then that in and of itself is selfish to yourself. Like one thing is to be selfish, to only tend to yourself and not care about other people. Another thing is to only care about other people and not care about yourself. And I think we twist this meaning of selfishness, but that's the two meanings of it. And so then you might be asking, like, you've been going on about like the importance of treating yourself and loving yourself and self-respect. How do you actually do it? I think that loving yourself and doing things for yourself actually just starts with doing, again, the little things and doing the things you like. It can be as simple as going out for a walk because you enjoy the weather. Okay, like I go out for walks all the time. I go out for walks and I go to the park and I listen to some music, or I don't know, without someone telling me to do so, I go to Indigo, I go to Chapters, and I just buy a book to read. Why? Because I like it. Because I think for me, it's one thing to train the body and another thing to train the mind, right? I think that training the mind is also important, and that's for me. Someone else doesn't necessarily have to understand why I spend $80 on $80 worth of money on books. But to me, it's important because I love to read, and I love to indulge myself in philosophy and nonfiction and self-help. But that's just the me thing. Another thing could be like studying, do so for yourself, not for other people. Like one thing is to study because your parents tell you to do. One thing is to study because your teacher tells you to do. Another thing is to study for your benefit, right? And at the end of the day, like once you do these things for yourself, you start to realize that you are your own person because you did that for yourself. There was no one else who influenced you into doing so, and you own that decision. And so not only have you now done things for yourself, you've established who you are by finding out what it was that you wanted to do and what you like to do and what you wanted to do to benefit yourself. And now you own that decision. and have established that you are an individual. So then that builds upon itself, and it turns into a habit. And a lot of people who are, again, people pleasers, tend to forget about the setting of boundaries, and they forget about themselves. And in turn, when you start applying that, just doing little things for yourself, you start to regain that boundary for yourself. You start to respect yourself because you start seeing yourself as a person. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize, that they completely disregard themselves as people. They just do things. They just live, right? What's to live without exercising the virtues of yourself? What's to live without exercising the morality of being a person? What's to live if you don't live for yourself? Right? It's one thing to love people. It's a good thing to love people. It's a good thing to be affectionate. It's a good thing to be kind. But it's also a good thing to be kind to yourself. At what point did you stop believing that? At what point did you start to forget that it was okay to do good things for yourself? And I think in my life that is something that I forgot. I thought that in caring for other people, that would make me kind, and that, and in turn, that would make people respect me, that would make people like me, and that would in turn get me to like myself. But what was I really relying on? That the perception of others, something that I can't control, which is what I talked about on the previous video. Something that I can't control, and something that are the perception of other people that don't even understand who I was. And was I doing that for myself then? No, I was doing it so that other people can see me as a kind and good person, and so that they would want to talk to me or date me or respect me, right? It's not only are you now just giving yourself up to random people who don't understand you. It's, well, again, like, being kind is always a good thing, but in turn, if you're just if you disregard yourself, if you don't think about yourself and being kind to other people, then are you really living? Like, is it really even like rational, right? But still, like, a kind thing is a kind thing, but you also have to be kind to yourself. You also have to give some of that love back to yourself, right? And one last thing that I'm going to touch base on is that, again, when you start to lose this sense of individuality, and you start to lose love for yourself, and you start to only love other people and other values that don't concern who you really are, and you get into, like, to try and get into a romantic relationship, I think for some people, which this is from experiences that I've had and people that I've met, is that when they don't respect themselves, they tend to look for the other person to respect them, to try and get the love that they share, or to try and get the other person to fix them inherently and for them to love themselves. Is that not a selfish thing to do? Is that not a selfish thing to expect of a person, to love you enough so that you can love yourself? Because then again, another person's another person. They can love you, but they can never truly understand you to the point of you loving yourself. They cannot understand you like you understand yourself. So then how are they going to be able to make you love yourself unless you do it for yourself, right? It's immature, it's foolish to just expect that love is meant to carry, to give your partner this responsibility of them trying to fix you, or you trying to fix them. Because at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility. It's not either of your guys' responsibility to fix each other in a relationship. It's only your responsibility to love one another to the best of your abilities. It's only your responsibility to be there for one another, but not to the point where you have to establish who they are as a person for themselves. And a lot of people don't realize that, and that's something I also didn't realize, and probably why I got dumped. But excuse me, kind of choked on my spit there. Again, just be kind to yourself enough to realize that you are your own person. Realize that it's also selfish to be unkind to yourself, and start with the little things. Start with the little things. Just go out for a walk. If there's anything that you could take away from this video, if you forgot everything and you were just listening to me yap and not actually, internalizing anything that I was saying, and the words are just words, I want you to remember this one thing. It's to do things for yourself, no matter how small they are. No matter how small they are. As long as they are your own decisions, as long as you see them as in your own good, and as long as you see them for your own benefit. And this has its own limits, of course. Like, just because you think it's for yourself to go out and beat someone up. No! I'm not saying out there go do immoral things just because you think it's for yourself. Do good irrational do good rational things for yourself. Do good things for yourself, okay? Like, I know it's hard to discern. I mean, it's good to come to it's I am stumbling my words tonight. It's hard to come to terms between morality sometimes, but if act on virtue, act with morals, how you treat yourself, and just treat yourself how you would treat someone you love. There you go. I'm really sorry if this video is really long. I just realized it's 16 minutes. I really talk a lot. The thing is, just do something for yourself, no matter how small it is. If I was your teacher, and I was to give you homework for tonight, or for today, or for this evening, or for this afternoon, go out and do something little for yourself that you enjoy. Maybe go out for a walk. Go watch that show that you've been putting off. Go paint something. Go draw something. Go eat something, just for the hell of it. Just for yourself. Okay? Disregard everyone else. Disregard what everyone else is saying about you. Disregard whatever people people will think about you. And just do it. And just do it for yourself and own it. And think to yourself, wow, I really did that. I really did that for myself. And in turn, you will start to realize how good it feels to just live. So, yeah. I really have nothing else to say, so peace and love, yeah?